Let's keep this gala season going, picking back up on Genshin Impact and moving into Fontaine, which we already know is fashion. So when we're looking at Fontaine style in general, it should come as no surprise that we're getting French Belle Époque, Victorian, Parisian high society fashion. And if you are into this type of aesthetic, then you kind of really should have been into this year's Met Gala, because the dandy style really borrows a lot from that structured, tailored, and elegant European style. And of course, we're getting all of the key elements that we would expect from this type of fashion, which include lace, ruffles, embroidery, all the great accessorizing that rounds out a sense of opulence, in addition to some really cool and rich tones that I feel like only further reinforces a sense of luxury on top of all of that. And then with hydro being the element for this region, I definitely feel like we're seeing that come through within some of those existing key elements, like the ruffles especially, just wavy textures and fabrics, cascading layers that just give a sense of those moving bodies of water. There are some like water motifs, but I would more so say it's in the shape of the outfits. They're structured, tailored, but they don't feel as rigid and sharp like a lot of the past regions. It just feels a little bit more soft, graceful, which only ladders up to that kind of French, Victorian, elegant style. I have mixed feelings on this region. Half of the looks are whatever to me, while the rest of them are absolutely serving the Fontaine fantasy. When they're serving the fashion, they're serving it. So you'll definitely see that come through as I review. And then here's the criteria, which you should already be quite familiar with if you've been watching the series up until this point. Starting with Sigewinne, obviously, kitty characters at the bottom, just something that we've seen before, and especially just with it like a nurse. Soft, cutesy, fun. Love the more bright colors, especially in contrast to the rest of the characters within this region. And I feel like water does maybe have some natural alignment with like cleansing and purity from a nurse perspective. But like the bows, definitely alignment with the region, but feels especially anime to me. But then Chevreuse immediately moves us into more of that Fontaine direction. She's a security kind of person, so I understand more of the functionality and practicality behind the style, but that's what kind of doesn't really serve as much of the fun, flair, and style that I like out of this region and what I really want out of these outfits. So it's kind of like whatever to me, not really giving anything unique. And the clash with the purple hair color is just like, I can't stand it. But I mean, it has alignment with her element, has alignment with the region. It's doing its job. Then we have Charlotte, and I'm like, okay, now we're getting into something that just feels a little bit more stylish ensemble. Still fairly functional and practical. She's a journalist, so it definitely feels like more of that kind of like news reporter or just like writer style and essence. Feels very Mondstadt. I feel like some of these outfits have alignment with Mondstadt. It's just that overall European vibe, but at least we're just getting more of that roundedness and just more of that like structure in compared to the easy breezy style of Mondstadt that I feel like is what differentiates and really asserts her within this region. Then we have Escoffier, and this definitely has much more personality and attitude and bite to it, and she can even be a bit serious and ferocious as it relates to her being a renowned chef. Definitely capturing all the energy, but just like a character from Sumeru, I feel like the white against her skin, even though I understand the chef's uniform is typically white, it just really falls flat. And I feel like it just feels a bit hollow in that regard as well. There's a lot of color and decoration going on in the back, but as far as the front, especially just given that the stockings are sheer and lacy, I'm just kind of like, Then we have Freminet, and I love the contrast between like the bit more of a voluminous, more shaped jacket, especially with the exaggerated cuffs. And he's a diver, so maybe there's a little bit of functionality and practicality there. And I love the dark color palette and how that really allows the gold detailing to really pop. And I feel like it's more of like a subdued, low-key style, which kind of aligns with him not really wanting to be in the spotlight. I really wish we could see more of this really short style on more mature male characters. Love the boots, love the hat. Then we have Lynette, and I love this. This is definitely moving much more into just the fun, I feel like, flair and shape and style of Fontaine that I like. And it's actually rather simple. It's really not over the top, but she's a magician's assistant, so she doesn't necessarily have to give most of that main character energy anyway, but love a stocking look. It just really allows some of that confidence to come through, effortlessly chic, but still just gives it enough of that air of sophistication. Really loving the asymmetry with the bow, just all the bow work. But Emilie's really ushering in, okay, this is the tipping point, the threshold. Now we're into the Fontaine realness. And I really just love this classic style and framework for the outfit, especially the slit in the dress or the skirt. It gives enough of that body confidence that we know Genshin loves to give these female characters, but it still feels classy and sophisticated and elite. Loving the overall alignment with the green. She's also a perfumist, so she's probably maybe using some natural or just like easily resourceful ingredients paired with dendro. So it's just really well-rounded. But Lyney just gives us what feels like an outfit structure that we typically get from the female characters, but in a male form. And this is what I want to see, even more so for like mature male characters. It can go even further. They can push the envelope a little bit more for me, but once again, still feels plenty sophisticated with the accessories and the ruffles and all of those Parisian high society details that we would want to see in this style. It's honestly pretty simple, just like Lynette's was, but it's a simple sleigh. Just showing that you don't have to do too much, and this really isn't that over stylized. It's doing a lot of work, and Pyro on top of it, giving me the full fantasy. Aside from, I already forgot her name. That's how forgettable she was to me. The first, like one of the first characters who's also security. Clorinde is also security, but it just feels more fashion. It just has so much more personality and decoration to it, making her feel so much more main character than just some sort of passive security uniform NPC. Loving the hat, and just there's so many mix of textures between the hardware, the feather, and a little bit of the tassel detail on her scarf or cape. Purple, Bias' favorite color, Electro. She's serving it all. And then we have Furina, who is the Hydro Archon, and I feel like the color palette, the little water droplets sprinkled throughout her look is absolutely paying that off, and only further signified by the like top hat crown combination going on. And I honestly like it more with the black than the white. She retreated from being this like theatrical public persona and just settled for something being more humble in the background, kind of again like Freminet, and just more of like a consultant. And I feel like the black leans a little bit more into that energy, while the white is a little bit more like fresh pop, look at me. So just again, loving all of the accessorized details, plenty of those small intricate points, just to really ladder up to what this aesthetic and this region's fashion should be all about. Now, I had originally had Neuvillette positioned before Furina, but after just taking a closer look at the two of them, I feel like Neuv is giving more of that Hydro Archon energy. It's really that strong outerwear that is just so ethereal and majestic and fresh and so unique that really puts him in a whole different category. It's still Fontaine, but it feels just so much more personal style and aligns with the bias that I have towards all these other suited male characters. I do wish that even though it's translucent, I do wish, and a little bit of luminescent too, which I love, but I wish that the outerwear was like opened or just allowed us to see more of the scope of what's going on underneath. But Wriothesley, it just feels so much more effortlessly cool guy, and we do just get to unpack and appreciate so many more specific detailed elements to more of what comes together to compose the outfit. And I just still always have a little bit of a heart for an alternative look, especially when we can give it some sophistication and make it high fashion, which is exactly what this outfit is doing. It almost feels like something DeLuc would wear. Again, just a little bit of that parallel with Mondstadt and that European style in general, but I feel like it's the jacket and just the overall more buttoned up and tailored style that gives this more of that Fontaine foundation. I'm just going to cover Arlecchino here, and honestly, she might have one of my favorite outfits out of the entire Genshin universe. Such a tight, structured, well-suited look that honestly aligns pretty well with Fontaine anyway, and it's giving androgyny. And she's regarded as father based on her House of Hearth anyway with the Arbingers, so she's absolutely delivering. It kind of honestly aligns with the Met Gala theme this year as well, because a lot of women were suited in a very similar type outfit structure. And even though she has some very form-fitting, like tight oriented pants, there's still enough of that sophistication and sharpness to really elevate her into something that can be taken extremely seriously, as she should. But you already know that Navia has to take the top spot. I mean, look at her. She is the embodiment of Fontaine fashion, and especially being in a presidential role, I would expect her to lead by example in that regard. Tight, maximalist style and all the bells and whistles that I feel like is truly resembling a representative of that Parisian high society style. And especially being a geo element too, she has the hardware just sprinkled throughout the entire look, giving her so much more solidarity and foundation in this overall aesthetic, with just enough of that kind of roundedness skirt effect behind her, just to give us some of that movement and flow. So loving everything that she has going on. And that was my short and sweet review of the Fontaine fashion. Let me know which character has a style that especially resonates with your personal taste. I believe all that we have left is Natlan, which I have some opinions, but might not be exactly what you expect. So looking forward to getting into that. But until the next video, I'll talk to you later.